Good morning to everybody out on the West Coast. Good afternoon, everybody out on the East Coast. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today for our webinar to review Ocean Systems products and solutions and the many updates that we've released this year, as well as your particular workflows. My name is Larry Compton. I'm Senior Instructor and Technology Evangelist for Ocean Systems, and I'm joined, as always, by Charles Garino, Vice President of our Sales. How you doing, Charles?
Good. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Yeah, we are going to get right into it because we have a lot to cover today in a short period of time. In fact, we may end up scheduling subsequent webinars to get to all of it. But if I see a number of people, recognizable names, but a number of new names in the list. So if you're not familiar with GoToWebinar, we'll be taking questions throughout and trying to make some time at the end to set aside for answering some of those questions. Open up the GoToWebinar questions panel via the GoToWebinar control panel, and you can pop that out. That way you can type in your questions at any time throughout the webinar, and Charles can try and address those, or I can try and pop in and answer those at the end as well. So getting right to it, for those new to Ocean Systems is a business of dynamic technologies that was founded back in 1987, early integrator of Windows graphics solutions. In fact, the very first integrator of Avid Media Composer on the Windows platform. We've been on GSA contract schedule for quite some time, over 20 years, and have our flagship product, dTective systems, in use throughout the world by local, state, federal, and international law enforcement agencies. We provide not just software solutions, but hardware, training, and professional services as well, custom tailored to your specific needs. So that includes every aspect of it. The hardware, software, training, and workflow consulting can be custom tailored to your specific needs. Well, talking about your specific needs, we kind of need to understand who you are and what role you play, because not every technician or analyst covers all aspects of a digital evidence workflow. So it's really important to understand which pieces you may need from our solution set and how we can custom build those modular solutions for you and provide them to you. So if you were just out doing digital CCTV recoveries and processing, for instance, in the field, well, Omnivore and the award-winning portable Omnivore drive and the Omnivore Field Kit are the solution that are going to be most applicable, giving you quick, actionable information on the scene, and probably the quickest way to document a digital CCTV recovery, as you'll see here in just a moment. Maybe you're a forensic a photographer or a fingerprint examiner, or you're just doing, get me this still image clarified so that I can get the best picture out for distribution. Our solutions for image clarification and video clarification, we have ClearID for Adobe Photoshop, which works on both images and video in Photoshop. And of course, our flagship product, the dTective suite for video analysis and clarification inside Avid Media Composer, and now Adobe Premiere Pro as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Or maybe you're just the person who's receiving and managing the evidence and doing some light processing. QuickDME is basically become the core of all of our solutions. QuickDME is essentially an asset management product that now does processing, player management, all sorts of the typical daily activities that you perform through Windows with copying and hashing and reproducing. All of that can be managed and audited with our core solution, QuickDME, as you'll see here shortly. Or, of course, there's some of us that are all of the above. We do everything. We do the recoveries. We do the clarification. We manage all of the evidence. Maybe you're a one-man shop and you need everything in the suite. We can provide that in our all apps subscription. So certainly something to consider for gaining access to all of our solutions in one yearly subscription price. Let's get right into the recovery step. The recovery step, I talked about Omnivore and Omnivore Field Kit. We've had a few releases of Omnivore this year. Probably the easiest way to capture and process video in a portable solution. Omnivore is now integrated with our QuickView LT video player, so we'll show that. We introduced the ability to losslessly trim any FFmpeg supported file with Omnivore earlier this year, which is great for saving time and trimming down your original sources to just what you need without losing any quality in that original source file. We also introduced a new preview player in our FFmpeg Convert, Omnivore FFmpeg Convert, which has basic intuitive controls for marking ins and out points so that you can trim down files and things of that nature. And we added batch processing as well in Omnivore so that you can not only just drag a single folder, but you can drag a folder with subfolders or select multiple files and process them all at one time through Omnivore FFmpeg Convert. What you see on screen is the new start window for Omnivore so that you can get right to work doing the piece that is necessary at that particular time, whether it's through the field kit or just capturing from a player or processing FFmpeg supported videos. And speaking of the field kit, the new field kit capture engine does not convert digital sources. So it is no longer doing AD conversion if that original source coming into the field kit bridge is a digital signal. We're taking that raw RGB file directly into a file. So it saves a lot of time, no more signal sampling in that particular case either. The field kit itself has a number of components, but it's a relatively simple, easy, plug-and-play way to arrive on scene and document your entire recovery. Probably the quickest way I know of documenting digital CCTV recoveries is recording a video of everything you're doing while you're doing that recovery. And that's exactly what the field kit is designed to do. You simply take our Omnivore bridge, you plug one end of it into your computer via USB 3 and attach a video cable to the other end to the output device of the DVR. Now that could be a VGA output to its display, DVI output, HDMI output, or even analog sources from S-Video, BNC, and RCA type connections. So a very simple arrive on scene, do your initial photographs of the system according to best practices, and then connect your field kit to begin documenting everything you do while touching that system. Or just grab images of the perpetrator while you do the rest of the research on how to navigate that system. You can get actionable information out on the street really, really quickly, leveraging the Omnivore Field Kit. So I'm going to do an example recovery with that scenario. And the field kit typically ships with HP Z workstations. If you're not familiar with the HP mobile workstations, these are workhorses. They are designed to essentially allow you to replace your desktop workstations in many cases. They're capable of running the very latest video processing software from us as well as others, including Adobe and Avid. We have the 10th and 11th gen processors, plenty of RAM expandability. They have M2 slots built in, so you have super fast storage, and you can even get Quadro graphics from NVIDIA, dedicated Quadro graphics in these new Z workstations, Thunderbolt connectivity, and more. What's really nice is the docking stations and having the ability to take the laptop from your desk, unplug one cord, put it in your bag, and get out to the field with a workstation quality laptop. And according to best practices, of course, we want to have a laptop with us when we're on scene so that we can do things like look up digital CCTV files and players for these proprietary systems. So the first thing I want to show is just that. I want to show the Omnivore Field Kit and a sample of doing that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my Omnivore drive. I'm going to launch our new Start Here window. And you can see we have the ability to jump right to processing via FFmpeg. going in to do captures from Omnivore, from that proprietary player, or launching our Field Kit viewer. So I'm going to go ahead and just click Launch Field Kit Viewer, and in this case, I have a Watchdog system connected up, digital CCTV system from Watchdog connected up. And this is the brand new Field Kit Viewer interface, a much more simplified, quicker, and more efficient process for doing Field Kit captures. Down below in the far bottom left corner, you'll see the original source signal coming out of that digital CCTV system. So this system's putting out via VGA a 1024 by 768 signal, and right now we're displaying it at 512 by 384, and that's 50%. Here's our zoom level controls over here. I can also manually type in if I want to go to 100 exactly, and then I'm viewing things at 100%. I can, at this point, grab my set up my output settings in Omnivore, go to my video settings tab, and I'm going to snap my Omnivore to that system and click optimize. And it's going to optimize based on that signal and tell you how long your system can capture and at what rate it's going to capture. So it's doing its calculations and comes back and tells me it's seeing 21 frames per second, and we're going to sample at twice that. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording on my Omnivore. And at this point now, for documenting settings, it's super simple. I can just get right into the setup menu. Everything I'm doing right now is being recorded. So I can go into system information, and I can just tab through the screens, and every screen is documented. I no longer have to take photographs of every screen. I can just go in and see my exact motion sensor settings. Boom, boom, that screen is documented, so on and so forth. So probably the fastest way to document the settings on a digital video recovery out in the field is leveraging the Omnivore Field Kit. We can also, of course, get right into playback after you're done documenting your settings and start recording video and getting images of the suspect out on the street while you do the rest of your research on the system. So I'm going to go into playback, and I'll just go first data recorded, go into a single camera view, and now I'm recording the video of that single camera view right with Omnivore. And this character seems to be up to no good. But quick and easy to document every single setting screen and also get actionable information out on the street. I'll go ahead and stop my recording, and you can see all of my mouse movements and every single setting screen is now documented. Probably the quickest way I know of doing a documentation according to best practices. So we're essentially recording everything we do, and if I want to grab an image, once I've saved this, I can go ahead and just export an image and get that image out on the street. Now, if I'm also leveraging ClearID on the same system, well, I have the ability to do clarification and processing with ClearID in it. Or maybe I'm right there on the scene and I've got a proprietary file. I want to try and start working with that proprietary file right away. I can go into processing, grab that proprietary file and drag it in, and our FFmpeg Convert interface will come up. So FFmpeg Convert is a simplified way to use the most common tasks performed with FFmpeg. If you're an FFmpeg super user, you're probably typing a lot of commands into the interface. We designed this interface to make it super simple and easy to use for the most common things, like converting to uncompressed formats, lossless formats, or compressed formats for distribution, extracting all of the frames, extracting only iframes, running reports to interrogate your media, changing the dimensions of the media, changing the frame rate, trimming the media down, so on and so forth. So maybe I want to convert this to a lossless H.264, and I also want to interrogate and find out what the containers and streams report for metadata. So once I can do multiple selections at once, and once I've done that, I can just tell it where I want it to save. select this folder on my desktop and click OK. One of the other beauties of Omnivore's FFmpeg Convert is that when it's done processing, you have the ability to save the entire log file that you see through the command line interface if you use FFmpeg at the command line. So as it completes this process, it'll come up and say completed, and a new save log button will show up here. So it's going to open that examples folder for me and a save log button. So I can say, rename this report to lossless FFmpeg Convert and report. And now I've saved that to my examples folder. Inside my examples folder, I have the actual probe report, and then I have the report that logged everything we did. You'll notice our version of Omnivore gets documented, the date, as well as all the versions of FFmpeg, commands used, your input file, your output file, and then all of FFmpeg's output gets documented into this log file as well. So a quick, easy way to leverage FFmpeg without having to type all of those commands out. I can take this lossless file and pop it in and make sure that I can preview it. So yep, I got the preview available to me. I can pop open our new preview window, and maybe I want to trim this file down. I can now navigate through the file. My goodness, look at that. FFmpeg only saw one stream, but there are actually two camera views in that stream. So another way of interrogating your file, we can interrogate it by quickly doing a conversion. We can run a container and streams report. We can run a frame information report and open it up in an XML viewer and see that there are actually two different raster sizes for this particular file. So lots of things that can be done quick and easy with FFmpeg without having to get into the command line right through Omnivore's FFmpeg Convert. Let's see, we're going to take a look now. FFmpeg Convert has been out and about for a bit, and we integrated it with our QuickDME QuickView LT video player. So QuickView LT is a free multimedia player that was introduced with QuickDME earlier this year. What is QuickDME? Well, QuickDME is essentially Windows Explorer on steroids. It's an asset management and processing solution that is also modular. So it can be really anything that you need it to be, from just automating processes like hashing, copying, reporting, disk burning, purging of evidence. All of those things can be automated and mimic the exact processes that you're using today. So if your process is, once you get back to the office, you take your original evidence, you hash it, you make a working copy, you hash it again, QuickDME can automate that and standardize the same folder structure that you're using today. Everything can be mimicked using QuickDME. And of course, we also built in our ability to manage and associate proprietary digital CCTV players right within QuickDME. So if you have proprietary files ingested, you can associate those proprietary players that such that you can play them right within QuickDME. And if you're out in the field, QuickDME can be just installed on a single workstation, or it can be deployed across your network. But if it's installed on a single workstation and you're taking it out to the field, well, now you have your entire player database right on that laptop with you in the field, and you can find the player on the scene and get quick access to that proprietary player and play back your file using the proprietary software required. No matter what you're using when it comes to proprietary digital CCTV files, no matter what you use to view that, you should always view it with the proprietary application designed to view it, at the very least, to validate what you're finding through your other methods. So QuickDME can certainly help with that. If you are deploying it across the network, so maybe you've got a small team, work group, or even across a domain, like some of our users have it deployed, across large domains with hundreds of users, it can leverage your existing resources, your existing storage, network, email server. All of that can be configured and set up such that we don't require you to implement new services, new solutions, or even require you to leverage cloud storage. Many of the cloud solutions out there for asset management also store things in a flat list, so it doesn't maintain the folder structure when you upload your evidence. So now maybe you've got to zip the file before you even upload it to your asset management solution. QuickDME will maintain that original folder structure such that anytime you copy that evidence out to make a working copy or to distribute or to disclose, it's maintaining that folder structure, which, as many of you know, is extremely important when it comes to a lot of these proprietary digital CCTV players. And of course, it can audit everything along the way. So QuickDME is designed from the ground up to provide that ability to show who has permissions to view, who has viewed, who has permissions to print, who has printed, so on and so forth. We built in more capability in this new version of 4.1 released earlier this year. So many of the FFmpeg Convert options you saw with Omnivore are also built into QuickDME, as well as many more. We have hashing at the frame level. We have the ability to view macro blocks and motion vectors. We can rewrap streams. We can crop and things of that nature. You can also set up your own custom send to commands in QuickDME, which allows you to basically send it out to any third-party tool from QuickDME. So if your process is to work on images in Photoshop, you can send to Photoshop and open that asset in Photoshop, so on and so forth. We created a new automated derivative ingest for our default send-tos. So if you are leveraging our default send-tos up here, creating derivatives, we have an automated process that'll bring that derivative back in without you having to go and manually start that process. And at a customer request, this was another thing that cloud accounts don't often do, create a working copy. So we can create a local copy right on ingest if you have permissions assigned by your administrator, or if you are the only user, you can create a working copy complete with hashes and get right to work in whichever tool, whether it be Media Composer and dTective, Photoshop and ClearID, so on and so forth. You've got that local copy created. You don't have to upload it and then download it to begin your work. And of course, the big thing that people have been most interested in, the QuickView LT video player. QuickView LT will play any FFmpeg supported file, allows you to preview and interrogate those files quickly and easily. It's available right in your right-click context menu, as you can see here on the screen, and I'm going to do a demo here momentarily as well. We have a new multi-column metadata report. We'll run metadata reports from EXIF tools, Media Info, and FFprobe all at once, and then we'll provide you with this 3-column summary report I'll show you, including MD5 hash value and SHA-1 hash values right in that report, and you can quickly save that report as a PDF or HTML document, or copy and paste it into any other document. We also provide you the ability right from QuickView to get to FFmpeg Convert. So if you wanted to go right into FFmpeg Convert from QuickView, you can do that and do more processing. No need to go back into AccessDME or QuickDME. You can get right into processing with your Omnivore drive. So let's take a look at some of that. We'll take, let me close out of these examples and come over here. And first and foremost, let's take a look at, well, let's look at that same EverFocus file. I'll just right click on it. This is a proprietary EverFocus file. And I can right click and quick view this file. Now you noticed when we did our conversion of that file that it showed 2 different camera views, and they appeared to be the same size. Well, if we do our interrogation thoroughly, we'll notice that this actually has 2 camera views in one stream, but they're 2 different sizes. So we can run multiple reports either through FFmpeg Convert and do a frame information report out to XML. And if we look at that in our XML viewer and look at the width and height column, we'll notice that even though there's one stream, there's two different widths and heights. So a great way to interrogate the file. We can do other things as well for reporting and previewing files. We can simply copy a frame to our clipboard if we're taking notes, and we can add information such as the metadata for that particular frame by just clicking on metadata, copy metadata to clipboard, and we can paste that right in with that frame. That 3-column metadata report that I spoke of, we'll take and pop that open, which is right next to the FFmpeg Convert button, and it's going to try on this proprietary file to see what it can find with EXIF tools, not much. Media info, not much. FFprobe was able to at least see a single stream, but again, a little misleading. So proprietary files, we really need to do our interrogation and make sure that we're getting all of the information that we believe we're getting. Everything is not always as it seems, especially when it comes to dealing with proprietary containers. With this report, it's easy to copy and paste just the summary report and paste that into any other report. We can also save these reports out to a PDF, and we can choose if we want to include all of them, the EXIF tools, media info, FFprobe, and summary report. And we can obfuscate the file path. As I mentioned, the MD5 and SHA-1 hashes are included in this report as well. And then when we save it out to a PDF, example, summary, it'll include all of those pages from each of those tools as well as this summary report into one single PDF file. So here's our example PDF with our summary first, and then EXIF tools, media info, and FFprobe, including all of the version information from FFprobe. So a quick, easy way to interrogate files and get access to that actionable information. We can play any FFmpeg supported file with QuickView. So whether it's VOB files from DVDs, interviews, etc., just a right click away to get in and interrogate that file into our QuickView LT media player. QuickView LT is provided for free as part of the QuickDME solution, and we have a 30-day demo package for QuickDME that'll get you up and running quick and easy so that you can download and install QuickDME on a single system, and it has everything you need as well as some sample assets to get you into the solution. So I'm going to pop over and take a look at the actual QuickDME environment real quick. And we have just left the scene, for instance, and I've got a thumb drive with some actual evidence. I'm going to insert into my system. And as soon as I do, QuickDME is going to prompt me, do you want to ingest evidence from this drive? And yes, I do. I'm going to ingest the entire drive. So it's going to scan the drive, and then it's going to ask me, hey, do you want to ingest evidence into a single case, or are you ingesting evidence into multiple cases? I'm going to go into a single case this time. And this is our quick downloader ingest form. This is completely customizable. All of the yellow fields are required. The white fields down below are all custom fields, so you can have and build your own forms to mimic exactly what you're doing today. It starts with the case number. All of the evidence has to be associated with a case, so I could just enter a new case number. We can have it set up to force the format of your case numbers and mimic exactly what you're doing today. But I'm going to do a quick search for an existing case and double click it, and it'll pre-populate all of those fields. Now I can go back and enter anything I want, like technician assigned, so on and so forth. All of these fields give you the ability to search by these fields in our Access DME module, as you'll see here momentarily. So I've entered the case information that's required. Down here is our download information, and specific to this particular download, who collected it, when they collected it, who is ingesting it or downloading it, and then are custom fields like comments. Does it include video? Does it require processing? So on and so forth. So all of these are searchable so that later on you can come in and see exactly what needs to be done. Down below, we have some options for doing things like making that local copy, which just means I have to sign in with my password, and then that option becomes available. I can make a local copy and get right to work on a working copy, and I can direct it to wherever I want. In this case, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck it and begin my download process. So it's going to go ahead and copy the files, and then it's going to hash everything. Hash, copy, hash, and then it'll print out a property sheet by default. I'm going to print this out to PDF, and I'll call it Quick Downloader. And it opens up a simple report with a summary of exactly what you ingested. One photograph, one video, two others, total file size, case, and download related information.
So to Larry's comment earlier about QuickDME being Windows Explorer on steroids, it's not only, well, it depends on what part of Windows you assign to Windows Explorer. So file associations, send to, I want to open up this type of file in this player, which is part of Windows and Windows Explorer. So the things that you're going to commonly do, or probably should consider commonly doing, you get the new evidence, it's either sent to you or you went and captured it, recovered it yourself, come back to the office, you're going to have certain protocols for how you organize your evidence and folder structures. So you have to go create all those things. Are you going to hash and then copy and hash? Probably a good idea to do that. And then once you're in that environment, you'll notice throughout what Larry's showing you is all the extra things that you can do inside of either a module of QuickDME or throughout QuickDME. So I have these different folders and nested folder structures, and you probably might have some separate document that's your case notes and your evidence notes, or maybe a note about your file. Well, inside of QuickDME, you can actually, and it replicates and emulates very much what you're used to seeing in Windows Explorer, except for now I can highlight a case folder and I can insert notes, plain notes, or HTML notes. I can highlight an evidence folder and I can do the same. I can go all the way down to the file level and create notes on top of that. So you're already doing these types of things at this level. It's automating what you're already doing and giving you the extra features that would be nice to have in Windows Explorer that aren't there. Things like we can filter by different types of files. So we can just go right in and say, show me all the video files, show me all the image files, show me all the audio files, because we have, a database and we can aggregate information inside of a database. And then you have always with you over on the right-hand side, you can just simply go to the tab to look at the case information, insert more notes on a case. You can go to a evidence level and insert things on the evidence level, or view the metadata about any particular file, either the metadata that was there when the file was ingested, or the metadata that's been generated while you were processing it inside of QuickDME. And we separate those two things.
Yeah, so it's extremely flexible and modular in design, but essentially able to mimic everything you're doing today. So for instance, I've selected a video file here, an in-car video file, and inside all of my metadata pertaining to that particular file. I select an image file that we just ingested, and again, all of my related metadata, including, Apple iPhone, shot by an iPhone, so on and so forth. Now, those send to options that we were talking about in regards to processing are all just a right click away. So by default, we have send to QuickDME for things like interrogating, running that metadata comparison report, running a frame information report, playing with macro blocks and motion vectors, so you can see the macro blocks and motion vector view. things of that nature. So all of that's just a right click away, including the ability to send things to your own user-defined send to command. So here I've set up a send to command for Photoshop, and maybe the task was to get this particular plate off from this. I can send this out to Photoshop quickly and easily, launch ClearID, walk through the workflow, and then re-ingest that as a derivative and have all of my notes, including the verification report from ClearID, right inside of Access DME. So a quick look at ClearID. I'm just going to zoom in on that plate. And some of you may have seen this one before, but I'm just going to highlight this section, and I'll launch the ClearID interface with F7. And I don't need to correct video artifacts. I don't have multiple frames, but I do want to crop to this selection. So I'm going to go ahead and crop this down to just the plate. It's not going to change our original. Everything is non-destructive, so it crops and stores all of its settings in there. I've cropped it down just to the plate, the area of interest. I'm going to go on. The next thing I need to do is address this blur issue. I'm going to use our lens deblur filter and to clear up the focus blur on this particular image. And again, simple, easy to use controls with ClearID that walk you through the clarification process. So you don't have to be a Photoshop expert in order to obtain good results and get the best results out of your images. We could further clarify and continue walking down the improve contrast to bring out those letters a little bit more, zoom in on it. ClearID is one of the few products that allows live previews of many of these filters. So I'm showing gamut clip, adjusting my black point, but I wasn't touching the letters, and that really jumped those letters out for me. And again, I'll show my gamut clip, bring this over, and I'm starting to touch the area of interest, so I'm going to back off, and that looks a little bit better on the black lettering coming out. So we continue on through the process, and then we save our document, and I can save this out to that examples folder on my desktop. So let me go to my desktop, put it in examples. I'm going to save it as a TIFF file, click save. And once I've done that, now I can run a verification report on this particular image. If that's all I'm going to do, I'm not going to do any more noise removal or sharpening. I can come right to verification report and save out my verification report for that particular image. And it's going to save out as an HTML file and then launch that verification report in my default web browser, including my results and every step of my clarification process along the way. Furthermore,
there's also a feature inside of ClearID that has been there for a while that I'm not sure as many people might know about, but there's a Slideshow Presenter. So what this does is it exports all your different Photoshop layers as individual PNG files and creates an HTML index file that actually emulates what the environment of Photoshop looks like, so that you can go step by step and turn on and off the layers and replicate your processing workflow. You can zip that up in a zip file and email that to others for review, and yeah, it comes right in there and under the verifications tab.
So a lot of ways to manage and access evidence, both through our default send to commands as well as the custom ones that you can set up to go to, like I said, Photoshop or Audition. If I'm looking at audio files and just want to hear particular sections, we can preview just particular sections and so on and so forth. I could set up a custom send to have this go out to Audition or whatever third-party audio editing tool solution that you're using. So that is the nuts and bolts of QuickDME. Charles, anything else you wanted to show before we pop back over to talk about dTective?
Well, not so much show as I think an important comment and something for people to consider as people, some agencies, you know, people have been around for 20-something years. There's fewer and fewer of us old timers running around that have been here from the beginning. While I see it often where some agencies have a lot of turnover in personnel, and who's that senior analyst who's doing maybe just file conversion stuff versus the people that are going to, you know how to do every level of processing and presenting and analyzing of evidence, who's doing the collecting. One of the powerful things about a QuickDME environment is it's setting up and making it easier to introduce others to the processing of digital media evidence. You're walking into this, and the folder structure that you want everything ingested into, whether you hash, copy, and hash, is all programmed to your settings inside the program. You've ingested a lot of proprietary players. It's not uncommon somebody tells me they organize all that in an Excel spreadsheet. Well, this is organized in a database where somebody can just walk into a case, load it up, right click on it, and they don't have to know what the proprietary player was that you play that file in. It's set right in the settings. You right click and it says play in associated player, and depending on what association you made, you actually can read what the player is. So I think it makes it a lot easier for people to standardize and get up and running on what your SOPs are, because it's all documented right in the workflows that's programmed into the program.
That's a great point. And here's an example of that play and associated players. Same EverFocus file we were looking at earlier. When you play it in the associated player, FFmpeg was only seeing a single stream that contained two channels of video, whereas the proprietary player actually parses those two channels out and allows you to see them through the proprietary player. And you can export from this particular proprietary player as uncompressed AVI, so you can make sure not to add further degradation. So although, proprietary players are often, the bane of our processing workflow, it's important to understand their importance to your workflow. Certainly from an expediting processing, FFmpeg can be great for getting actionable information out on the street, for making quick distributable copies and other third-party tools for doing that. But you need to do your homework is essentially at the analyst level to make sure that prior to that going to court that you've interrogated it fully and thoroughly to make sure that what you believe and what your tool is reporting is in fact the case from that evidence. I can't tell you how many cases I've had where I've taken and leveraged FFmpeg or another tool, and then when I looked into the proprietary player playback, it was a horrible player, but it had the ability to parse out information that other tools couldn't, and that is quite regularly, whether it be metadata information like speeds and things of that nature, or other streams of material, other audio streams for backseat camera, audio, in-car systems, lapel audio, all of those sorts of things. So QuickDME can help you manage all of that. And if you have it right on your laptop in the field, well, now you've got all of your players there with you as well.
I think another important point to make with the QuickDME environment. So, on your system, you have set up, you're going to do these manual things. You're going to create your file folders and hash and copy, that type of thing. We've already determined Quick Downloader would automate that for you and give you disk burning options and that type of thing. But then you have your send to file associations, the proprietary players, send to programs, that type of thing. You say, Charles, well, I can set all that up on my computer and not even use QuickDME. Well, the automation part wouldn't be there, but consider this. If it's something that's stored in a shared storage environment, your system hard drive could crash completely. And you just plug in a new system onto the network, you point to the location, all your settings, send tos, proprietary players, metadata, how you want your folders to be created, it's all still there.
Absolutely. A lot to get to in very little time. I know we wanted to leave some time for questions. dTective 8.5 was also released in August, so every product has been touched this year at least once, some multiple times as far as updates. And one of the big updates to dTective was adding the all-new Matrix LE 2x2 effect. So dTective it has a new Matrix LE 2x2 that allows you to create quad views or side-by-side views quickly and easily in just one effect, much easier than with default effects in either Media Composer or Premiere Pro. dTective includes all 6 now of our dTective filters, as well as all of the ClearID filters, and of course still includes Archiver and Dplex Pro for deplexing those analog multiplex tapes, which are still out there in the wild in conversion. And oh, by the way, we have dTective for Adobe Premiere Pro as well. It's in beta version 4 right now, but we'll have the official 8.5 release for Adobe Premiere Pro coming out very, very soon. So you can get all of those effects and filters in Adobe Premiere Pro as well. dTective in Avid Media Composer. If you have not looked at Media Composer lately, maybe you've made the migration to Adobe Premiere Pro, you might want to know that Media Composer is faster than ever. And I use both. I have both in my toolbox, and I use both for certain things, and particularly Media Composer's 2020.9 and newer introduced the Universal Media Engine, and oh my gosh, the speed is absolutely incredible. But what do you use a nonlinear editor for? A lot of it for investigative and forensic uses is, investigative filtering, real-time alignments of multiple sources. You can't do that in a lot of standalone utilities, single application utilities. Provide that bigger picture for the court. Doing redaction and editing, you need a nonlinear editor, and boy, has Media Composer come a long way. Literally up to 8 times faster importing and exporting. Yesterday, I was working with another instructor who hadn't been in Media Composer for a while, and he was absolutely amazed at how fast we were able to just link files in, MP4 files from in-car, body-worn, digital CCTV, and how fast we were able to export the end result out as an MP4 file. It literally it took 2 minutes and was like a 10-minute segment. It was very, very, very fast. They, like everyone else, have moved away from the QuickTime libraries, and now that Universal Media Engine is 64-bit. So that is where a lot of that speed is coming from. But it also deals very well with H.264, 265, and AAC, both for importing and exporting, and variable frame rate material. And of course, that is something that all of us are seeing from digital CCTV systems, mobile devices, and that sort of thing regularly. By default, when you bring in a VFR clip to Media Composer, it's playing it back at the original source rate. You can force it to play back at the project rate, but that's going to speed it up typically, depending on the project you're in. But by default, it's going to play at that variable source rate. Archiver 2.0 was released just prior to dTective, and we did some major improvements with Archiver to accommodate Media Composer 2020.x and newer. By the way, Media Composer is currently on 2021.6. There is a 2021.9 coming out, if not today, likely this week or next. So be looking for that. But the current version as of this very moment is 2021.6. Archiver 2.0 accommodates any version of 2020.x or newer. It accommodates the new media storage locations. And, oh, by the way, we can do previews of media in Archiver now. So you can use, if you have QuickView LT installed, I'll show you here in just a second, real quick. you can preview via thumbnail or open video files or sequences right inside QuickView LT. We improved the performance of Archiver, the indexing algorithm. Those who have used it in the past used to take some time, especially if you had hundreds and hundreds of projects on different drives, etc. All of that has been improved exponentially. And we also improved the drag and drop projects. So you can literally hash any file or create any archive project from your case folder to anything can be dragged and dropped right in the interface. So let me take a quick pop in there just to show you the new Archiver capability. And so I'll launch Archiver, and I have just a handful of projects listed on my system, but I can select any project and walk through the media. Now, all of my project settings, all of the bins, attics, statistics, everything when you archive with Archiver gets archived into that particular archive, including my original sources. Avid and Archiver are smart enough to know, hey, these are his original source files. And you'll see as I click them, I've got previews of those files down here. I can double click them there or double click them here and preview them right inside the QuickView LT Media Player. So a quick, easy way to see what your media is. It even works on sequences. So here's an example of a sequence I was working on, a side-by-side example using our Matrix plugin. So I have an outdoor camera, and then I have a nighttime outdoor as well that comes up a little bit later in this. So an example of applying Matrix and just doing a quick side-by-side custom view. But,
also, I want to chime in and highlight to people that, anybody that's using Avid definitely should go download the latest dTective suite, which includes the latest Archiver, to get the Matrix, to get this updated interface. Along with that, if you delete projects from Archiver, it's actually a lot easier to delete them here than through the Avid interface, and make sure that you're cleaning up all the associated media that goes with the Avid project. So we have some advanced tools inside here. Larry will poke through and show you in a second when I stop talking, but you can scan your system for, if you just launched that main Avid interface and you see the project files all listed right there and you highlight it and you delete it, you deleted the project, you didn't delete the media. So you could have gigabytes of old media on your system that you haven't kept up with, knowing that's there, that you can free up some storage if you scan for orphan media files right inside of Archiver. Then to avoid that moving forward, delete your projects via the Archiver interface, and it'll prompt you telling you that it can clean up all those associated media files for you.
And this is that window he was talking about through Tools, Advanced, Clean Media Files. It found an old project that I had and some left behind media that I could simply just delete right from here by clicking the delete button. So a quick, easy way to clean up your system and remove, excess media files from your system.
Can you hit your delete button right there while you're on a project?
Yes. Yeah. So if I click on delete here,
There you go.
It's going to delete everything, including attics, bins, statistics, media files, and it does not remove original sources or miscellaneous files. So if you had dragged any or used any original source files, like I had in that Matrix example, or dragged any other files into miscellaneous, like a case folder or example folder, it's not going to delete those by default. And then I just simply click OK, and it's going to remove that project for me from my list. So all of the Avid statistics and everything for that project are gone. So only a few minutes left. Let me pop back over and talk a little bit about our hardware and workstation updates. We have done quite a bit to keep up on the hardware end, and of course our workstations still extremely competitive price-wise, as our customers always tell us. Windows 10 Pro Towers, 20-core Xeons. We're booting from M2 drive, so super fast boots. 4K and above qualified. We can get the latest RTX graphics, and we have plenty of expandability for system memory, including high-speed RAID storage right within the case, and of course, as well, we have external RAID storage with our Safe AV units, and our Safe AV up to 4,800 megabytes per second, extremely fast local storage, whether RAID 5 or 6 configurable. And for the Avid Io hardware side, for getting things in and out, we've been using Avid hardware for many, many years, and some people have gone to leveraging now that Avid's opened it up to Blackmagic and Aja. But Avid's hardware, the DNX ID series, the DNX IO family is extremely capable and powerful, and we can certainly help you with that, as well as their high-speed shared storage, the Avid Nexus family. So if you're in a work group environment with multiple Avid systems, we can certainly help you get not only local high-speed storage, but set up with extremely easy to use, state-of-the-art drag and drop workspaces for Avid Nexus storage family. Our training updates, we are doing, still haven't held a class due to the pandemic situation. Hopefully, we're going to be able to put one on early in 2022. We're doing live one-on-one remote training on all of our products. Those are the basic modules that we provide, but we can customize our training to your specific needs and workflow. So if you're interested in reviewing your workflows or custom training on more advanced features of FFmpeg Convert, QuickDME, ClearID, or dTective, certainly don't hesitate to reach out, and we can try and accommodate any of that for you. Not only are our solutions modular and customizable, so is our training and our workflow consulting.
I just want to highlight, we have standardized, blocks for Omnivore, ClearID, those types of things. But there's just a generic by the hour workflow review, feature review, because, depending on, every agency is different, and every user in that agency can be at different levels. So if you're a one-person shop and you're doing it all, what are they asking of you? How can you do that better? Which modules of our tool set fit the need the most? And that's one thing that's nice about the all apps approach to things. So if you've been in our global support contracts, then you have access to one of everything. You can download the latest Omnivore, latest ClearID. You can go get a one-year subscription to QuickDME that enables whatever level of QuickDME you want to use. You just want to use Quick Downloader, that's fine. You just want to use QuickView LT's 3-column metadata report combination, you can access that as well.
Yes, sir. And plenty of updates on the website. Certainly, we've got overview and instructional videos on our YouTube channel. We've got a new All Apps download request form, so no longer need to fill out a download form for every product. You can just fill out one particular form and download the latest versions of everything. And if you aren't already, we would encourage you to join our customer listserv on the website. So let me pop over and take a look at the website real quick. Our customer listserv, if you're not on there, join our listservs down here on the left-hand side. We send out updates there in regards to webinars, training, products releases. It's the first place where we put out our information. Support and downloads to get to that All Apps downloads request form, and as you scroll down, you can go down and see every product's latest release, free to in support date. But right here at the top, All Apps download request form. You don't have to be an All Apps subscriber to access it, but just one form will give you access to the latest versions of all of our software. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. And that is about all of our time, I believe. Charles, how are we doing on questions?
I think we are good. You must have done an excellent job explaining things.
You as well. You as well. That's excellent. Oh, look. Thanks, Mel. Appreciate the feedback. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And look for future webinars and opportunities. Please don't hesitate to reach out if we can help you in any way with any of our modular solutions, trainings, and professional services. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good day.
Take care.